Welcome to the I Create Daily podcast. I'm Leora Alderson.
And I'm Devani Alderson. We're your co-hosts on this journey of creativity and productivity.
I Create Daily is for artists in every genre of creating, from musicians to writers, crafters to inventors, bloggers to entrepreneurs. I Create Daily is a movement for creators serious about your art.
If you're into creating anything, this podcast is definitely for you. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey. Welcome to another episode of the I Create Daily podcast, a movement for creators serious about their art. I am Devani.
And I'm Leora. And our guest today, Dorothy Anne Dauenhauer, is originally from the tropical island of the Philippines, is a Christian singer and songwriter, inspiring listeners worldwide with her unique blend of contemporary pop and worship music. A passionate storyteller and minister, Dorothy Anne's lyrics paint pictures of life, love, and struggle in captivating melodies with a prevailing theme of hope and devotion. As a professional, independent recording artist, Dorothy Anne makes her home in Dallas, Texas, where she homeschools her 5 children, leads worship in her church, and is a mentor to other artists. She is the co-founder of the ministry DefiningMovementsTV.com with her husband, Dustin Dauenhauer. Dorothy's philosophy is that dreams can be a reality if you dare to pursue them. We're all on board with that. Welcome, Dorothy.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
It's wonderful to have this chance. We learned about you through your husband, Dustin, when he shared about, the fact that you're a singer-songwriter and you have quite a following on Facebook. You're beautiful. So for anyone who is not watching on video, make sure you go over to YouTube or to our site and see Dorothy Anne in person. But tell us, how did you begin to get into singing professionally?
Well, I remember in college, I had a professor tell everyone and say, figure out what you want to do in life and then find a way to get paid to do it. So ever since I was a little girl, I loved singing. I loved writing and ministry. And so I took that to heart and I thought, well, I do have a dream of being a mom. So how can I do both? And so right now, with the wave of the internet and online marketing and stuff, that's how I'm getting paid to do it, is just to focus my efforts doing it online.
Yeah. Awesome. And you homeschooled your 5 children.
Still homeschooling.
Homeschooling.
Yes.
Their ages. Tell us.
So the oldest is 11. I have to consciously think about it because he just turned 10. How's he 11 now? Yeah. And then, so I have 11. He'll be turning 12 this summer. And then Aaliyah, my daughter, she just turned 10 this past Tuesday. So she's 10. And then I have Daniel, who is 7. He'll be turning 8 this summer. And Liam, who's 5. He just turned 5. And then Evan, who is, I want to say 18 months. The calendar's going so fast. So year and a half. And then we're expecting baby number 6. So really excited about that. And the good news is we just found out recently that we're having another girl. So Aaliyah and I will start to catch up with the boys now.
Oh, nice. Lovely. Nice. And so that's a lot. So what are your habits and sort of what does your day look like as a creative?
Yeah,
the homeschooling and the ministry and the music.
Right.
Yeah, that's a really great question. For years, it was a struggle to try to find out a good routine. But I think for the past, I would say year to year and a half, we decided as a family to just work in quarters. So seasonally, like this first quarter of the year, we're focusing on Dustin's book. So I'm helping him with editing. Last quarter, we focused on my CD launch. So he helped me with my CD launch, all the while we're homeschooling, that's what we do during the day. A lot of our entrepreneurial type endeavors are in the evenings. That's just how it has to be.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what we do. We work in quarters. We write down our goals. We decide, a year in advance, okay, what are we going to focus on, both of us? Because my husband's super talented too, and I want to be there for him. He's so supportive of me. I want to be there for him. So it's a very much a balancing structure.
Definitely. Well, how did you, so first back to your college professor who gave you that fantastic advice. What did you do after college? When did you begin singing professionally, and how did that journey happen?
Well, I would say that my mom was really supportive also. When I was younger, I wanted to just do pop music. That was the thing. You know, I love radio. I love like award shows, and that's what I want to do is pop music. But I also sang in church, and she saw that gifting at an early age, and she really encouraged me. One day she was like, you should really do contemporary Christian music. And even though I resisted it at first, I really see like how it fits me as a person. Like that's my why. You know, anyone can sing. A lot of people are great singers. A lot of people are great writers. But for me, it's like, why do I do what I do? I like really have a heart for people and, you know, sharing my faith with people. And so that's why I started working towards gospel music. I think that foundationally, I just started journaling, and those entries turned into songs, and many life experiences turned in, you know, to stories. So that's how I started. Is just my first thing I would tell anyone who wants to do music is to really just start writing, craft your songs, focus on that, and then you're just going to have people left and right asking you, when are you going to have a CD? And I'm going to buy it when it comes out. So I guess I started organically creating a fan base that way, and just doors opening through me knocking, asking for bookings, and getting into churches, meeting people, building my email list. Those are just a few of the things that I did professionally, aside from the artistic side, was booking and building relationships.
Yeah, so a couple things that are really good and important to share and enunciate on that, and that is, one is you niche down. So you focused on a niche, and that was still a part of it. So you focused on your why, and then you just started doing the work, singing, entertaining, connecting with people, and getting it out there. So those are three really important things that we often recommend to the I Create Daily community. And so do you remember when you first got paid to sing, or was it selling something that you wrote?
I can't really remember when. I probably was in high school. I probably got booked for an event. I remember thinking, this is cool. I could do this. Like, getting paid to sing is pretty awesome. So yeah, it was probably a live show that I got paid for.
And
that was probably, I can't remember exactly where or when. So
cool. Well, and do you, like, you're a singer and a composer. So do you write most of your music?
Yes, I do. I perform covers as well, but the things that I've produced have been all original, or also collaborations. I've co-written a song as well with other people.
So so walk us through your creative process. Are you, like, I know that in terms of what you're focusing on at any given time, you, like you said, as a family, you guys work in quarters and you decide, you know, what the focus needs to be. But how does that work with your writing and singing? Because I imagine as a content creator and writer that it's not like your ideas only happen on a given quarter.
Right.
You know, they happen along the way. So how do you work with that?
That's a great question. In college, I used to have a digital recorder. I thought it was the coolest thing, you know, because growing up, I had like a little tape recorder and I don't know what happened. All my tapes are lost and they probably got damaged throughout the years. But in college, when I had this digital recorder, I thought it was so cool. And so I would record myself in the car. Anytime inspiration hit, just press record. Sadly, that recorder got damaged. So I pretty much lost all those things. But now with, you know, the iPhone generation, I use a lot of the apps on the iPhone to document inspiration. Anytime it hits, I could be watching a movie and there could be like a line that sparks like, oh, I want to write about that. So I'll jot it down in notes. Of course, voice memos has been super helpful. So anytime I come up with some kind of melody, I'll record myself right away and just go back to it later on if I want to develop that and what have you. So that's pretty much right on that. Yes, inspiration happens for me a lot of times at midnight. So it's good that I could just get my iPhone, record myself, work on it later, you know, and have more time. I I pretty much like to write privately, pretty much at that keyboard right there when all the kids are asleep and it's quiet. That's my best environment for writing.
Well, you mentioned earlier, as you were sort of talking about your journey of how you started the singing at a young age and the music songwriting, especially, you were talking about how you journal a lot, and those eventually became songs or lyrics or future creative projects. And I think that's a really interesting idea, because I think maybe a lot of times we box ourselves in. And so when we think about writing a song, if you're a writer, we think, okay, I need to write the various verses. And I'm not a songwriter also. I don't even know if I'm using the right lingo, but, or as an
doing great.
Or anything, any content creator, we think about this is the medium that we're writing in or producing in. And so we need to follow the structure of that medium. But can you talk about how different creative mediums that you've delved into serve your main songwriting, singing career?
The different mediums as far as like
journaling or anything else that you perceive as something creative but maybe not your main thing.
How do they feed it? How do they all feed into what you're doing? So like, and which contribute most, I guess. So do you still journal write, for instance, and write your songs from journaling?
Gotcha. Okay. Yes. I do journal every day. I have a mom's one line a day where you just pretty much write down like one line from the day, maybe the kids have said or a lesson that you've learned as a mom. So you can like document they come in, I'm going to show it to you. It's mom's one line a day. I picked it up at like one of those discount stores. And this has been really great for me because it keeps me consistently writing, consistently thinking about life lessons every day. And so I think as a writer, it's important to get what's in you out. And so writing down using pen and paper, in my case, I actually like pencil better because my personality is very much, if I make a mistake, I don't want to scratch it out. I want to erase it and rewrite over it. Some people, I've heard some songwriters, they actually like marking it out just in case they want to use it again. Yeah. But I pretty much know myself, like I would rather be nice and clean. So writing using pen or pencil and paper is really effective for me. Reading a lot is good too. Like I said, I just use notes. Like I know there's plenty of apps. I even have a songwriting program that's really great, but sometimes I just think bullet points for me work really well. So I'm constantly doing things like that, just almost 24/7, just documenting things.
You mentioned a couple times some of the apps that you use. So could you elaborate on that? What apps you do use for your creativity?
Sure. Well, the apps that I'm currently using right now is just when I come up with inspiration, I'll just make a note out of it and it syncs to all of our devices. So I can be on an iPad or an iPhone and use that, as well as voice memos. I love it because you can record, you can pause, you can label it really well, and it comes in handy for the kids whenever they inspire you too. So I use that. I used to have a vocal warm-up app, but unfortunately they did not update it. So I won't even share that because it was such a good vocal warm-up app, and then they just stopped producing. I contacted the company and they no longer use it. So I'm in search for a really good vocal warm-up app.
Sure,
so there's that.
Any vocal warm-up ads, definitely write
apps. Yeah.
Apps, sorry.
Yeah.
Definitely write in.
Yeah.
Yeah. For sure.
In that. And you said you have one that you use to help you record music, did you say? It was like the last thing you said.
Voice memos is what I use currently. Okay. I have another songwriting app it's a program, but it's on a laptop that crashed a couple years ago, so I haven't even been on it. So I'm sure I have some things there, but I heard a songwriting professor tell us one time, if you can't remember the song like the next day, it probably wasn't great anyways. So I've kind of gotten to the point where I don't worry about it. I think inspiration comes a lot, and I'm not worried about like, oh no, I lost that song. Like, it doesn't matter to me because I feel like I'll get a better one the other day. And usually when I actually sit down to craft a song, those are the ones that really affect people. So inspiration is great, and I think that you should document it, but I don't stress out about if I lose it. Like, I don't stress out about it.
That makes a lot of sense. So one of the things that even though it's not specifically like for creators that we have to talk about, well, in a way it is. And with you, especially, we have to talk about a little bit your homeschooling and being the mom that you are, you know, having 5 children with 1 on the way. And I don't know if you know that Devani is homeschooled. She and her brother are homeschooled.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and we, for most of their schooling, we did homeschooling as well, but that was 2, you know, and you have 5, and you're such a creative family. So are any of your children singing? Are you doing music as a part of their school? Like, how is that creativity taking place at home during your homeschool curriculum?
Yes, all the time. I mean, we use to memorize things, we'll make a little jingle out of it, and they still remember the songs that we've put together from years ago. So it's just in us. Like, we use our natural giftings that I don't try to force it on them. I just if they spark an interest for dance, I just let them dance. You know, I have a little boy he's an amazing dancer, but I think if I pushed it, he probably would resist it. But if he dances on his own, I'll just pull out my camera and just record him on the sly. And it's fun to watch them do that stuff. It's fun to see them be creative, and they're really into The Greatest Showman right now. And they have these lyrics memorized, and I can't believe it. Like, I'm the singer, but they're like the memorized lyrics. Like, they can memorize these lyrics so well. So it's fun. I've got a couple of videos of them singing all the, you know, to the T, all the lyrics. So that's fun. Yes, we incorporate music pretty regularly. I've got my daughter, she's a natural singer. I never even trained her. She probably just from listening to me practice. I used to call her my songbird because she would be 2 years old and singing in a different room, just like, so she's really good too. I was so proud of them. One time I went to come pick them up at church at their Sunday school, and I walked in and like she was on stage like with the little worship team leading worship. They do like motions and to their song, and I couldn't believe she never even told me she was doing that, but she was just doing it. So it's definitely in them. We definitely encourage them. And homeschooling is great. And it encourages me to see that you guys are working together, because that's my dream. Like, I want my kids to be involved in all of our nonprofit adventures. And they do. They'll come with us, and they're troopers. Like, even if it's a late night event, they do really well. And the good thing about homeschool is if they have to sleep in, that's not a problem the next day.
Right. Definitely. And take the breaks when it works for you guys.
Yes.
Breaks. And which includes like preferably when the rest of the world isn't, so that the crowds aren't so, you know, bad. Yeah. Like if you're going to, you know, whether it's a park or a Disney World, you know, kind of thing, you can go off season or at least at different times of the year. So yeah, working together is an amazing thing. And I think the thing is that when you're homeschooling and you guys are, when it is a family works together, they pull together, you know, they're going in the same direction together. And I think the hard, you know, for us, like with Devani's brother, he's not quite as much involved in the online endeavors that we're doing. He's interested, but, you know, he's just going through a stage where it's sort of like whatever we're doing, he's doing something else. But at the same time, he wants to be a part.
And he's very creative. Like he, it's one of those things, like you were saying, if you push it, it's sort of like, no, not into it anymore, pretending not to be into it. But if you just kind of hands off, then he's a very creative writer, and he enjoys that.
And so I think the biggest thing is, and this is like, there's so many, you will continue to find, I'm sure you already have found, so many opportunities to include them in some of the different things that you're doing. And you know,
absolutely,
that's really what, you know, from as you know, that the littlest child, they just want to help. They want to be a part. Mm-hmm. They want to do what you're doing. They copy. That's their thing. Yeah. And so when it is that they have a part in building together what the family is doing, They feel more relevant. They get the natural self-esteem of seeing the results of their action and their participation. And it's such an incredible, whereas, if they're going off to school away, from the family all day each day, then they're creating other circles of relevance that may or may not have the kind of influence that you would like them to have as a part of your family venture. So we're definitely all in favor of that. And, for anyone.
That's so good.
Yeah, for anyone who can, it works. And, it's like we were just talking, Monty and I were talking just yesterday that she has aspirations, though, to do the lifestyle entrepreneur thing. And that is, travel around while she's still doing her online work, which, we can do together from anywhere. Mm-hmm. And she can still travel and be on the other side of the world. And we can still be participating in our online and family businesses together. So, there's so much flexibility to
the internet. I mean,
absolutely.
We're just we're connecting with you. We connect with creatives every day. And it's such a cool thing. It's sort of like the internet's come in and sort of equalize the playing ground of how we all relate to each other at a creative level, at an artistic level, and as a team building and strengthening level. And it's,
absolutely. I wholeheartedly agree with that. I think homeschooling is great because it really empowers kids to know that they can do what they love and figure out how to get paid doing it. It really, it shows them that if they're hungry, they can make it happen. Yeah. So I love it. And yes, I think my kids especially, they do things a lot of kids, they get to experience a lot of things that unfortunately some kids don't. I think there's pros and cons to traditional school. But for us as a family, the pros outweigh the cons for traditional school.
Yeah.
And they enjoy it. They enjoy it a lot. And I enjoy it because the time is just flying by. Like, they grow up so fast, and it's great to just have that one-on-one interaction with them every single day. And so, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. So actually, let me just add this a little bit different again than what we would normally do, because something you said about what the kids are doing and the songs that they remember. You said that you guys make songs to help them remember things that they're learning, and they still sing them now. And so there's a big market for things like that for kids, and whether it's regular schooling or homeschoolers. So have you guys talked about creating any of those kinds of products?
That's a great question. Yes, I think that it is something to look forward to in the future. It hasn't hit our quarterly goal yet, but definitely, I think we'll probably have to develop a little bit more, because it's kind of like when I recorded the EP. Like, I didn't just have 5 songs written. I had maybe 10 songs written at the time, and so. Like, I think the more you have to pull from, then you can really refine it and you can really pick the best ones. So I don't just want to put out a product out there just because I have, 10 great kids songs to record. Like, I want to have the best out of 20 kids songs. So yes, I do love that. So thanks for the encouragement of that. It's definitely something we'll look forward to in the future to package.
Yeah. And I mean, that would naturally include them as well. So that would be an exciting thing. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, great. Well, so do you want to move on to it?
Yeah. So on the artistic side of your music and career, what are the top 1 to 3 things that you have done that have produced the most for your business, and that you would recommend other creatives, whether they're musicians or not, to look into doing? Whether it's marketing or just business operations, any of that.
Yes, I would say the top 3 things that produce the best business results for me would be booking, freedom journaling, and again, fortifying relationships that I've built over the years. I want to show this freedom journal for all your viewing audience. It's by
John Lee Dumas.
Yes. Yes, you know it. Yeah. Of course you guys know it. Yeah. This has been such a great find that my husband invested in. I remember when he got it, I was like, $40? Why $40 for a journal? It seemed kind of pricey to me. And then when I was struggling last year, probably around this time, maybe it was during the summertime, I was telling him, I'm so overwhelmed with everything. How am I going to get this launch and this recording done, et cetera, et cetera. And he was like, maybe you should use this freedom journal. I think that you'd really like it. And I said, okay, let me take a look at it. And sure enough, it was just right up my alley. Like, I didn't know what I was missing until I started using it. For those that don't know, every day you write down one thing you're grateful for. And then it just takes you through, like, in 99 days, I will, and then you state your goal. And then your number one focus for the day, you write that down. To get closer to your goal, you write down your top 2-3 things that you're going to do that day. And I tell you what, when I started using it, like, my focus and my productivity, when it became laser focused, and I was able to accomplish a relatively good CD launch for my debut CD. So that's something that's really helped my business. And I'm moving on to starting the Mastery Journal soon, this next quarter. And so and then again, I really can't stress enough how important fortifying relationships are, because I really wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for the relationships that we've developed over the years. Because no man can get to a successful place without having friends, having family, having, business acquaintances. Like, so many people that Dustin's met in his vocational business, like, so many people he's met over the years have helped me in my music. Like, they're his friends, but they've held me. And then, of course, longtime friends, and then friends that you don't even would least expect it. They see you from afar, maybe on Facebook, and they're like, I want to help her out. I want to help fund her CD, because that's something that was a big obstacle for me, is funding my first CD. Growing up, I wanted to have a CD, but I just couldn't figure out how am I going to afford it. It's so expensive. Like, people don't realize to do a quality CD is not cheap. Like, you need to invest in a producer. You need to invest in, a place to record, the mixing, the mastering, good musicians, not just your friend that plays the guitar, like a musician that knows studio time and understands he has to get this lick right. 1, maybe 2, 3 takes, and that's it. You don't want to waste time in a studio. So that was a big obstacle for me. And I got some great advice years ago that said, start off with a single, record a single, produce it well, and then acquire emails by giving that single away for free. And you never hear that. You never hear, like, produce something and then just give it away for free. No, but that first initial gift will open up the door for them to A, become your fan, B, just like you as a person and want to see you succeed, and like, I always tell the kids, nothing in life is free. It's true. It's not free. They're going to give you a piece of their connection when you give a free song away. But it's a win-win for both. I'm developing relationships when I give a song away for free, and then they're getting a piece of my heart when they get my song for free. So it's a win-win.
That's such a good point, because I think a lot of artists look at it when they're trying to bridge the gap between making it their profession and something they're paid to do. We look at giving things away for free as, oh, we're just giving away our talent or whatever, but really it's more just like, no, you're building a community, and you can't do that by asking for stuff first. Yes, right. So I produced a single, I launched that, acquired emails, and then from there, my husband helped me develop a crowdfunding campaign. And I thought, because you see them all the time and they look simple. You just put a goal and, say why, and here you go, social media, come support me. But it's not. It's so behind the scenes for crowdfunding is a lot of copywriting, is a lot of research, is a lot of, it's a production, really, a crowdfunding campaign. And unfortunately, I've seen a lot of other friends that have launched crowdfundings and they weren't successful. And I know it's because they didn't put in the homework beforehand. So thankfully, my husband, who is a big researcher on that kind of stuff, we put together, we had 2 crowdfunding campaigns, one that was successful and one that wasn't. And I'm grateful for the one that wasn't successful because it was a learning curve and we got to
see what worked and see what didn't. And then so the next time we came around, we had a successful over 100% raised for the project.
So can you share some of what you guys did learn about what was and was not successful?
Sure. Okay. So the first one, we didn't do that much research. We just had a goal. I think it was I thought at the time it was a reasonable goal. We were trying to raise support for the victims of this tsunami and in the Philippines, Typhoon Haiyan, excuse me. And so we had a goal, it was $10,000, which I thought was pretty doable. And we did a benefit concert. We raised still a good amount, $2,000, but we didn't reach our goal. And one of the reasons why we didn't, I believe, is because we didn't have a good video. A good video, I think, is number one. It shouldn't be long. It should be under 3 minutes max, especially nowadays. I probably could revisit that. It might even be shorter than 3 minutes nowadays with everybody's attention span and so much bombarded on everybody online. So a video, great copy, a team. A lot of times I see people that just put out a crowdfunding and they don't have a team behind them. I think you need to recruit people first to be on your team so they can help you share it on social media. They can help you contact people for follow-up. I told someone one time, I think the most important thing that you can do is follow-up. Follow-up is golden. A lot of people forsake it. Like, I already posted on social media. How do I follow up? Like, message them. Messenger is great because you can see if someone reads the message and then you can follow up with them in a couple of days. If they don't read it, then hey, you haven't, I see you haven't read my message, or you can text them. There's so many things that you can do like on Messenger now. I think you can even pay now. I noticed there's like this ad button where if people want to donate, you can pay through Messenger. So that's pretty cool. So yes, I think follow up, a great video, having a team with you. Those are just a few of the things that I see are components to successful crowdfunding. And then of course, back to what failed. So you want to have a goal that that you can reach in a quarter of that goal. You should be able to reach in the first quarter of your campaign. So if your goal is 10,000, you need to seriously ask yourself, can I reach 2,500 in 1 week? Like, let's say if your whole campaign is for a month, So if you can honestly say, I don't have enough support to do that, then lower your goal. And there's nothing wrong, because if you have to work in phases, work in phases. If you can't produce an EP, a 5-song EP, then why don't you just focus on producing a single? A single could be maybe $1,500 conservatively. It might be upwards of $2,000, but let's say $1,500 for one song. So if you don't have $1,500 saved and you need a crowdfund, I would say, well, first get emails. So record yourself singing, share it, say, hey, I'm starting, it's really all about communication and just sharing what you're doing. And you'll see, when people like it, reach out to those people that like your post and say, hey, I noticed you like my post. Would you be interested in contributing to my crowdfunding? I'm raising money to produce my first single, So I think that's a big takeaway when I was thinking about this podcast. Like, what could I tell other mom entrepreneurs out there is just start where you're at. Start where you're at with what you have and go from there. Make your goals tangible, write them down, keep yourself accountable. That's what I love about the Freedom Journal is it's a really great accountability journal for entrepreneurs and business people.
Yeah, definitely. Sure. Journaling has made all the difference for us too. So.
Awesome.
Ask, you mentioned your team, having a team for your crowdfunding, and whether you're doing a crowdfunding or just launching anything. So a lot of, in the author book world, a lot of writers have an ARC team, an advanced reader copy team, where they'll read the edited final manuscript that and they'll offer feedback, things they could offer before you hit your final publish, so that if you could change anything or you need to edit or tweak anything, depending if you like their suggestions. And then the point too is that core ARC team also helps share on social media. So is that kind of what you're talking about as well for the music side?
Absolutely.
Of an advanced listener group, I guess.
Absolutely. Yes. I strategically looked through my friend list and picked out people that have influence in the music realm, whether it be worship pastors or just other singer-songwriters. And I reached out to them and I laid out what I needed from them. I tried to make it as less labor intensive as on purpose. Just say, hey, could you just write me a review on iTunes? Or could you share this video on your social media platform? So yes, you want to be strategic with your friends. You don't necessarily want your family. I mean, family's great, and I think family should share, but like really pick specific, like whatever, if it's a book, then pick other authors that already have a sphere of influence, because you could be tapping into some of their fans. And also, if you're known for being a writer or songwriter, then it makes sense for them to be sharing that. So
yeah, you meant in your crowdfunding, you mentioned a concert that you guys held. So was your crowdfunding all on your own, or did you go through any of the platforms like Indiegogo or Kickstarter?
Indiegogo was our choice at the time because since we have a nonprofit, like I think they had a good fee. Like it wasn't too absorbent a fee. I know there's other ones out there. I like the interface on Indiegogo. Also, if you did, there's a really popular one, and for some reason I'm forgetting. GoFundMe, is it GoFundMe? Mm-hmm. That one, I think you have to be like 100%. Is that right? Do you guys know? No, I don't. There's one, and if Dustin was here, he would know exactly which one. One of the platforms, you have to get 100%. If you don't get 100%, you can't take any of it. Like you could have, if your amount was 9,000 and your goal was 10,000, you don't get any of the 9,000 pledged to you. Yeah. But Indiegogo is really great because if you get a quarter of the percent or 50%, you at least get to take that. You know, I wasn't expecting to get under 100 my second go around, but just in case, it's a good, default to have.
Yeah.
So our choice is Indiegogo for currently.
Okay, good. So the first time you raised 2,000 of the 10,000 for that benefits concert. What was the second thing that you did that you raised over 100%?
Okay, so the benefit concert was for the relief aid, and then a couple of years later, we decided to do a crowdfunding campaign for my debut CD. So we priced everything out, and we figured out like, okay, actually, the CD probably cost over $10,000, but we knew we're not going to be able to raise the $10,000. So we're going to lower it to, I think it was close to 7,000. We made over 7,000, but our goal was like under 7,000, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it was like some weird number. I was really into sevens at the time. So we had like a bunch of sevens, like $97 for a Skype. And now I'm just going to make it even next and just put 100 next time. Because I read like there was this one entrepreneur and he just talked about like anytime he used 7 for his sales for books and stuff, like it would just go like hotcakes. So it's probably that way for physical things. So my CD is actually $7. Like if we're at events, I sell my EP for $7. So I'll do it for physical things. I think the t-shirts might be 17. But for digital, I think I'm just going to round it up. It makes life easier when you round it up. So yes, we raised over $7,000 for the CD project, and which was more than enough to cover most of the costs. Of course, I had to still put out some of my money, which is fine because, if you're passionate about something, you'll spend your own money for it. And and I wanted certain things to be done really, really well. So that's why we did that.
Yeah, so you're growing your tribe, like on your Facebook page. Did you
Mhm.
grow that by way of the things you've already described, like growing your email list, inviting people to, or is it like from events that because you said one of the three things that has been the most successful for you included bookings. So I presume like when you do a booking, you mean you're singing for an audience, correct? That you're getting paid.
Yes. That's right. We do have a habit of acquiring emails at bookings. Sometimes those particular audiences aren't Facebook savvy. So it just depends. Like they could be like older at from churches and stuff. The reason why my Facebook page has grown over the couple years is because I have an online mentor. Her name is Leah McHenry. She is a homeschooling mom of 5 as well, based out of Canada. And she actually does Celtic metal music. So it's a very niche genre.
Yeah.
And she teaches musicians how to make a living online. And so she had a program about how using Facebook, like advertising and stuff, how to grow your Facebook page. So that's what I'm currently still taking her course. And so I'm still learning how to do that stuff. I'm not a super pro at it, but I hope to be one day.
Well, you have 16,000 fans on your page, so you're well on your way, that's for sure.
Thank you. Yeah, it's fun. It's fun to meet new people and just gain friends that way.
Yeah, definitely. Well, one of the things that, that 10,000 for CD, you're saying EP, which EP is?
EP is an extended play, so they're single.
Extended play. Okay.
Everyone knows what single is one song. It's kind of easy. And then where it gets kind of like, what's an EP? It stands for extended play. And then LP is long play, which is, most people just say album.
Right.
But for layman's terms, most people, like even nowadays, people are like, hey, can I get your album? It's like, technically, I don't have an album. I have an EP, because it has more than 3 songs. Or 3 songs or more is an EP. And then I would say maybe like 7 plus is an album. Maybe some people might even say 10 is more of an LP, long play album. So in short, I just normally say, here's my CD. I just say CD. I don't like to really focus on all those terms. People don't care. And nowadays people just like singles too. A lot of people just like to download. I'm a single person. Like I'm also in the middle of deciding if I want to find or re-strategize my my past plans of doing an album next. I think my fans would like an album, like my super fans, like they love, more stuff. But if I want to just kind of be relevant in this day and age's music scene, like I could just release a single every quarter. But it's almost as much work as doing an album because of the production. So I'm still like, I'm in that refining stage. Like, okay, what is going to be the best for my music and also family stuff? So right. It's a balancing. Yeah. You guys know it's balancing as a homeschooler.
And you have to decide too, like what is, and we talk about this a lot. It's like, do we do the simple thing and get something out there because it's simple, or it's like, well, we get into a project like we're editing an article or a piece of content for online or a podcast episode, and it's like, well, if we're gonna bother doing it, then we want to do it right, and we don't want to take any shortcuts. And at the same time, there are ways so that you stay relevant in the marketplace, where you're just like, you know what, let's just get something out and and not worry about the production value, because at the end of the day, nobody who is an avid fan of who you are and what you do, they're not stressing about the time it takes you to do something. They're just like, can you please give me stuff to consider?
Yes. One marketing expert told me, basically people are just bingers. Anything that they can binge on, that's what they want. So we're like in a binging type generation. So I think the more the better. I think that's why YouTube has flourished so much, because the content creators on YouTube are constantly putting stuff out on a regular schedule. I know even some of like the makeup YouTubers that I follow, like if they don't post, it's like, where's their video? You get used to it. People want consistency. People want stuff to devour. So yes, I agree. I think that's a good word of advice. It's like, don't wait too long to produce something. Just produce it. Do it to your best ability, but don't stress out about it, because your fans love pretty much anything that you do.
Right.
Do you take them on a behind the scenes of your life, sort of just like, because you're a mom of 5 kids, you're homeschooling, you also co-found and run a ministry, so you're doing all of that and your music. So how much of the behind the scenes of all of that do your fans see as well, so that they kind of get a concept of you're not just slaving for months on a single or an album or an EP, you're also doing all this other life stuff?
Yeah, I think I'm on the precipice of possibly doing a Patreon account to do that specifically. I'm pretty private in general, so social media is something that I like but also dislike at times, because you get sucked into so much stuff, and I have to do it for business, but it's also super time consuming, and I don't like that. I'm so like, here's me, like I'm not a see me, notice me person in general, which is always like a weird conundrum that musicians have to face with our personalities being pretty melancholy at times and pretty private. But that's the beast. That's how it goes. So I think if and when I do launch a Patreon, I do want to do that. I want to show people kind of like the inner workings of family life and ministry and stuff. Yeah, it takes a lot for me to post something in general. So like to have like this, camera following me around, or, so to speak, a camera following me around. So yeah, I think that would be a great, if I can overcome any kind of resistance on that, I think that would be great, because I would love to see, like, even some of the musicians that I follow, like, I would like to see their back. Like, that would be really cool to see. What do they do with their kids when they're on stage? Like, is it a nanny? Is it like a friend? Like, those are interesting things that I'm fascinated with that. So
we absolutely are. And that ties in with what you mentioned something just a little while ago, which is exactly where I was going with asking the questions about the cost to produce the EP, etc. And that is that, the top recommendations that we follow come and say that you need to put a lot out there all the time and not worry about the income, not worry about the money. So it's like and not worry about the perfection. So, and that would even be like putting something out there without worrying about it being Patreon. So for instance, for you, you already have a good Facebook following, to put out a 1 minute or 2 minute song, just with your iPhone on your Facebook page is going to go, has the potential to go viral and grow your page more than any kind of advertising you could do. But then you could also boost that post, and, target the people who would be interested in buying your albums directly, sending them directly to your album purchase page. So I think that would be, that would take you leaps and bounds forward, because you have that at your fingertips. You don't have to rely on a studio, and let go perhaps the idea of perfection, because like you said, you just want to see more of the people that you like to follow. You want to see more of what they're putting out there, and you don't care if it's perfect. Yeah,
I think for me that will be my takeaway today, is let go of perfection, because it's such a stumbling block. Like, just as a person that, wants to be in the best light. That's kind of like culturally how my family like raised me and stuff. Like, you're going to go to a party, don't like pig out on all the food, like, reserve, be reserved and stuff. But I think nowadays people really do want authenticity. So it's okay to post something that's not perfectly lit, or, even if you're not perfectly warmed up, just do your best and people love it.
Absolutely.
Because we're authentically, we're always both. Like, we always have that edge of perfectionism. That's why we want to be an artist. We want to create things that are well done for people to enjoy. But then at the same time, sometimes it's just like, well, this wasn't the best thing I've ever written, but nobody else is going to care, because they love us and they like what we do, and they want to see that too. And they want to, it's almost like they want sort of reassurance that artists are people too, and they're not always perfect. And in fact, a majority, or like maybe the 1% that they see and hear that is perfection, there's like hours of stuff that maybe was trashed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Definitely. And so, yeah, and then you can do that without having to worry about, even the behind the scenes kind of stuff. So like if that's a hurdle, well, to pick up your iPhone or even like if you're in the car with the kids and you guys are singing, to pull into the side. Okay, now here we are in the van or whatever. And I've got all the kids singing this song. I mean, those are endearing. Those are precious. People love that. But whatever, just any kind of thing of getting your content out there, I really think that will help you grow in leaps and bounds.
Let me ask you a question. I know this is y'all's podcast, but since you're a mom, I like highly respect like what you've done over the years and stuff. With my kids being little, I also though want to protect their anonymity and stuff like that. So like, do you think if your daughter was young, like would you do those? I know I see people do it and I appreciate it when they do it, but like I have to really find the balance of like, how much do I want to share with them online and versus just me? So that's kind of where I'm at on that.
Yeah. Yeah. So you have to make the family decision.
Yeah.
There's no one answer. It really depends on what works right for you and what feels comfortable. Mm-hmm. If you put a video out there that has the family in there and that's uncomfortable, then that's not for you.
And it might even be like a family decision of, is everybody here okay?
Yes. Yeah.
Put out, or is there anything about this? And it might even be a content by content audit with you guys. And we didn't get online until we were much older anyway. Right. Like when I was a kid, the internet, as it is today, as the social media platforms are today, wasn't really a big thing. Like even my parents weren't even really online that much. But
how old were you when you started like podcasting and doing online creation?
Podcasting last year.
But
I started online when I was like 14. I started
14. Okay, so you were a teenager. So okay.
Yeah, but back to your point of wanting to include the children in what you guys are doing. So that's another way of looking at it. It's like rather than isolating it, it's sort of like if it's a part of your family anyway, then it just stepping into the next room of that, of what's comfortable, so like, okay, so we can take the camera into the living room or into the kitchen or into the car, but we're not going to go in the other places, or we can have the camera be a part of this conversation, that we're intentionally having, but not, and everybody's okay with that, because they will probably, as they're growing up, appreciate that they're a part of that bigger picture, unless having it out there is just uncomfortable to you guys for whatever reason, in which case then you find other ways of doing it. But I think it's just kind of relaxing perhaps around those natural reservations that you have culturally, as well as just, just in general in your personality type, because it's a new era. It's an era of people want to see, people want, the reality TV became popular because people do want to see, like you said, what's happening behind the scenes. They want to know, and because it informs them, it helps guide them as well. And in particular, when you guys are like, ministry kind of leadership role, then you have a chance to positively impact lives, to kind of do the pros and cons list. What's the con of doing this? Or are there any negatives? And then what are the pros? And which one feels most right for us?
And maybe check out other families who are online a lot in a professional way, who have younger kids around your age, and kind of see what their ground rules are and what they are comfortable with sharing. And that might help you guys as a family decide, like, this is what we're okay with sharing with the world, and this part is our personal life, and it's sacred and it's locked away. It's not for the internet to see.
Yeah, I think if we could answer our why, like especially if we can help other families, growing families, like that would be a big bonus. And if all the kids were on board and they didn't mind, then that would definitely be like a green light for us as a family, for sure.
Yeah, and if there's some that, as they get older, like as they get into the teenage years and feel uncomfortable about it, chances are if they're starting now, they won't.
Yeah.
If they do, then that's their option to opt out of it, and they might be the child that chooses to be the camera person, but they're still involved. So,
and it helps teach them because they're going to have to experience the internet at some point, whether they're out of the house or in the house. And so it gives them a way to experience the internet with the protection of you guys, helping them figure out and navigate, like, this is the dark side of the internet and this is the part that you stay in. So, it's sort of like eventually they're going to be online anyway. And so if you can help guide it, it's probably better.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Definitely. Well, we've already kept you too long, but we've had fun and inspiration. We've gotten inspiration from you and as well. So thank you for taking the time to share your story. I'm sure that it's going to help other people who are on the journey, in various places on the journey of bringing their work into the world.
If you have any parting piece of wisdom or advice or anything you want to share
before we go.
Well, first, let me say thank you so much for having me. I've enjoyed my time and really learned a lot just even getting to know you guys. So thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. The main thing is just to reiterate, like, start where you are with what you have. Come up with a plan and stay accountable to that plan. And, I hate to use the cliche, but never give up. Like, it doesn't matter if you've got 5 kids and one of the way, 7 kids, whatever you have, like, remember that dream you had as a kid and know that it's possible. You're going to have to, have some sacrifices along the way. But if you really want that dream to happen, just put in some hard work. Also, I would say to stay educated, like, you won't be able to do it on your own terms and that the things that maybe you learned at school, because school kind of trains you for traditional, get a job, stay in your lane. But know that there's this big opportunity online to get your dreams fulfilled. Being an entrepreneur, thinking outside of the box, being on social media, building relationships. So that's the main thing is just, don't give up. You can do it. And reach out, check me out on DorothyAnne.com. And I'd love to connect with you guys in the future.
Awesome. Sure. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And everybody, create daily.
Yes.
Yay. Awesome. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Bye. Thanks so much for joining us for the I Create Daily podcast. Please let us know what creatives you would like us to interview and what topics you would be interested in hearing more about.
And if you enjoyed this show, please leave a review on iTunes. We value your feedback. We read all the reviews, and it just helps us get the word out on the I Create Daily podcast. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much.